Hi everybody, this is Brooke Bacon. I just wanted to let you know that our webcast will be starting shortly. We are just going to give you a brief overview of GSI while you wait. So who is GSI? GSI is a full-service consulting and managed services organization with deep application and industry knowledge. This deep knowledge allows us to develop advanced AI and automation that delivers cutting-edge intelligence. This unmatched intelligence is what enables our clients to thrive and not just survive. So why partner with GSI? GSI is a full-service ERP, SaaS, cloud, ITSM, cybersecurity reseller, consulting, and managed services organization. We have industry, application, and technical certifications, and we not only understand the business system you are utilizing, but most importantly, the industry. Advanced AI and automation are used in all of our products and services to help our clients reduce TCO and increase ROI. We have offices nationwide and partners worldwide, which allows us to offer a 24/7 global support model. And we are the only partner you will find in the industry that has a 100% guarantee on everything we do. Here are a few of the awards and accreditations and certifications we have received. Our mission is to make every customer a client. To accomplish this mission, we create a culture that attracts and retains the most creative, energetic, and experienced professionals. Here are some of the products that we have developed to help our clients thrive. Genius AI is a platform designed to support the development and execution of customized modules for system monitoring, application monitoring, AI, and automation. Modules can be developed and executed for almost any business system. Our clients use Genesis Performance Optimizer to model, measure, and maximize system performance for all of their web-based business systems. Genome is our newest product that will detect, analyze, and automate the process of converting customizations into orchestrations. Rapid Reconciler is our tool that reconciles perpetual, in-transit, and received not vouchered inventory. Rapid Approval is an application for quickly processing workflow approval requests in Salesforce. And G Shield is a line of security products that we are continuing to expand. Currently, we have two products, JDE Password Reset and JDE Two-Factor Authentication. As you can see from these testimonials, our clients attest to the fact that we focus on the business value of their systems, not just the performance. This business value focus allows our clients to transform antiquated systems of record into market share expansion machines.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Let's talk today about improving the credit and collection function utilizing various UDOs or user-defined objects. My name is Tom Gabriel. I'm joined with Dan Schulteis in the background to answer any questions you might have that you post throughout the conference. So again, some quick introductions and housekeeping. I'll get into a main presentation, then give you a quick demo of what I'm talking about as far as how you can use user-defined objects to help augment your credit and collection function. So again, I'm a senior solution consultant. Dan is the senior manager of our delivery organization. So Dan and his group would be the people that would help you implement and utilize and construct these user-defined objects in the best way possible for your organization. Quick safe harbor statement. Basically, JD Edwards and Oracle, they're a fluid organization and product, constantly being changed and enhanced and new functionality added. So what you're going to hear today is what we know as of today, and naturally come tomorrow, things can be different. So let's talk about performance improvement or helping you as an individual and your organization become better. When we talk about JD Edwards and we talk about the JD Edwards systems, it's like building a skyscraper. You know, there's many different components, many different layers. The ones you see all the time, that's the user interface, the screen, right? You sign in, you see a screen, you see different applications and menu choices and things of that nature. But JD Edwards is a lot more complex than that. There's the underlying applications that actually take that data, move that data throughout the system. The applications let you view and inquire on that data. Applications let you turn around and potentially run reports and things of that nature. But without the tools and the foundation layer, we would have none of the above. We would not have an application if it wasn't developed within the tools. We wouldn't have navigational capabilities in the user interface if we didn't have the tools. So what we're talking about right now is JD Edwards has moved beyond just having IT be the ones that need to understand all this. They are making your citizen developer, they're making your user experience a lot more robust. Therefore, it's important for you as individuals to understand what other tools can you use that are part of the tools and foundation layer to help you do your job more efficiently. So if we look at JD Edwards in a timeline, and I'm only going back to release level 9.1, which is in 2012, if you're not on release 9.2, application release 9.2, you theoretically have no more premier support. You're out of support because you only got 5 years or maybe 7 if you paid for an additional 2. So that means application release 9.1 is done as of 2019. Now, if you're on release 9.0 or an 8 release or XE, you're in even a bigger world of hurt. Now, if you look at how Oracle is moving forward with enhancing JD Edwards and delivering enhancements to you, you'll notice that 9.2 was the last major release, those silver dots. Since 2015, when 9.2 came out, Oracle has no longer of a mindset to give you a major release. Their mindset now is we're going to give you these quick little releases or updates, if you will, throughout the year. And we're going to support this release level not through 2030, not even through 2031, because if you were on some of the Oracle sessions, now release 9.2 is supported through 2032. And when I say supported, I mean premier support, bug fixes, statutory upgrades, all that other good stuff. So it's important for you to understand that you need to continue to stay current, quote unquote, not with a major release, but with all these other things that are coming out via Oracle. And Oracle started the concept of getting to this point way back before release 9.1, before release 9.0, when they turned around and they said, hey, we're going to make people upgrade to the release level 9 because we know we're moving to this point in time. And in order for them to be able to take these continuous updates and deliveries, we're going to have to make it such that they can do upgrades in less than 100 days. And the reason and the way we'll do that is we'll simplify the upgrade process. We'll simplify how they take these enhancements and changes. We'll simplify it that if they have a customization and they've done it the right way, that we won't get rid of it and have them rework it. We'll just take that customization up. At the same time, let's start layering in some Internet of Things or machine intelligence or machine capability so that the users don't have to do everything. Some mundane things can be done by the system itself. Let's make the user capable of generating and creating their own user experience by letting them become a citizen developer. And if we do that and give them all these additional tools, they'll reach a UX1 experience. But at the same time, let's continue to augment the capability of the software and the architecture that it runs on. So now we don't necessarily need to be alert, analyzed, and act of a human nature. We can actually detect, decide, and do things via the system itself so we can get rid of that human aspect. And that's part of the stuff we're talking about when we talk about the components of JD Edwards, the tools and foundation. So with this continuous delivery model, How do you get these things? You get these things via what's called an ESU, or electronic software update. Now, that's if you have a problem in an application or report or whatever, Oracle goes out, they fix it, and they put it in an ESU. You can get it and you can correct the situation that you had. Now, from an application perspective, what happens if there's new functionality? What happens if all of a sudden I want for my work orders to have a history of work orders so I can go back and see what the life cycle has been for a work order, just like for a regular sales order? Well, that would come out with an ASU, an application software update. Now, naturally, if I did that, and I have manufacturing facilities throughout the globe in China, Japan, Australia, wherever, well, maybe I need a different language because that is what that country is using. They're not using English, so maybe I need a language update. And then sometimes what I do is I bundle these things together in what's called a maintenance pack so that I can take one bundled thing versus a bunch of little ones. But most importantly, we have a tools release. That underlying, like I said, the foundation of your skyscraper, where Oracle puts all these fixes to JD Edwards, the Enterprise One foundation layer, together, and we take them. So when you think of Edwards and you think of the release 9.2, our current application release level is 9.2.5. And as I said, it's no longer supported through December of 2031. It's supported through December of 2032. Our tools release is 9.2.5.3, right? And what we need to understand is that timeline I showed you earlier. Oracle is of a mindset of a continuous innovation delivery model. They are planning to always give you fixes and updates and tools releases, etc., throughout the year. Now, you don't necessarily need to take them, right? So you have to at least upgrade the tools release to get some of that certain functionality. So if you're on applications 9.2.3, but yet tools release 9.2.5.3 has functionality you want, you can simply take that tools release and upgrade and be done with it. So when we look at that timeline again, we saw that 9.2 came out in 2015. It was about 2 years before enhancements to applications were made. Why? You're going to see in a minute, Oracle invested a lot of time and effort in that foundation and tools layer. Again, another year before the next app release, and another year before the next app release, and another year before the next app release. So the enhancements to functionality come out about once a year. Again, why is that? Let's be honest. Manufacturing process pretty much doesn't change every single day. There might be an enhancement here or an enhancement there. But JD Edwards has been a manufacturing software product for the last 50 years. And manufacturing really hasn't changed that much. However, if we start looking at that tools layer and the way a user can manage and manipulate the system, instead of every year, every 6 months, they're coming out with enhancements in the tools. Sometimes those enhancements, there's only a few. Sometimes there's a bunch. And there's a bunch because of what? Things like the Internet of Things and things like Orchestrator and things like the user interfaces and other UDOs. So you can see throughout the life cycle of Edwards, the tools foundation layer gets updated a lot more than the applications do. So it's important for you to understand what's in there and what you need to do as an organization to move forward. Because those user-defined objects, those things in the tools layer, right? The things that affect the infrastructure of JD Edwards, they're the things that help you manage and update and get the most out of your system. They're the things that allow you to rapidly get a return on your investment while at the same time lowering your cost of ownership because you no longer have to rely on IT to retrofit things. You no longer have to rely on IT to create a customization. right? These tools now allow you the flexible configuration and personalization your users need rather than making it a customized solution. And it helps your organization be able to be scalable. So, user-defined objects, UDOs, they're the key components for your ongoing ERP transformation. They make your JD Edwards system, instead of a system of record, they make it a market share expansion machine. So remember, simply because you take an update or simply because you take a fix doesn't mean that you're following Oracle's philosophy of continuous innovation. Continuous innovation is two things. It's Oracle giving you continuous delivery of enhancements and fixes, but at the same time, it's you as an organization and user continually adopting these things. So Oracle may give you these tools releases, 6 of them every 6 months. They may give these tools releases, twice a year, and they could be singular or cumulative. But as an organization, you need to step back and understand what's in it, right? What's in that update. You need to analyze that and see how it works within your organization. And you need to adopt them and roll them into your processes. And you need to do this on a continuous frequency. Now, it doesn't have to be the same as Oracle. Like if Oracle comes out with a tools release every month, you don't have to take it every month. But I would say at a minimum, you need to evaluate every 6 months, and you need to adopt changes and update the changes at least every year. Okay? So you can see that there's a lot of UDOs out there, right? Form extensions, those are a good one, right? You can see, compose pages, orchestrator and how it can do notification, search, a lot of good stuff out there. You need to look at these things and say to yourself, how would I construct my experience? How would I use a query or a watch list, what you're going to see today, to narrow down some information? How can I use Enterprise One Search or Enterprise Search to not only look for information, but then launch out to applications to do something? How can I use a form personalization to get rid of all the data I don't want to see and just make my screen, more intuitive so that when I get there, I can look and see exactly what I want right then and there? How can I bundle these things together on one page so that I can have different quadrants, one with a report, one with, an application, another one that goes outside to a URL? How can I take some reporting tool like OneView or Reports Now? How can I use that, integrate all of that together, and at the same time use an orchestration to integrate information, to orchestrator to process information, and then use orchestrations that if that process fails or I don't get the results I want, or if I even do get the results I want, how can I use orchestrations to send me a notification to say, oh, okay, this is what's happened, this is what's going on? How can I use all these things together to get that customized user experience? So what we're talking about today is credit and collections. Now, I'm going to date myself, and I'm going to tell you that I've started using JD Edwards way back in the early 1980s. And I started JD Edwards on a world release A.2. That's how early it was. And I'm going to tell you right now that the screen you're looking at now with the options you're looking at right now haven't changed. It's been like this for years. Many years. And what does the credit and collection management process do? It simply says, let's refresh a table and let's get this data together so that then somebody can look at it and review it, make a determination as to what's right or wrong. Maybe they need to update some information, so they want to go into, your credit granting and management, or maybe they want to reach out and grab some additional credit information. But the point here is this has been this for years. So let's understand How does credit and collection work, right? Credit and collection works by looking at a bunch of different tables, i.e. data, right? It starts with a customer. Tom has a credit limit of X. He's assigned a credit manager. He's assigned a collection manager. Tom goes out and he starts to buy things through sales order, right? And when he buys these things, it creates an invoice in my customer ledger. And then Tom hopefully pays me. And when he pays me, I have some receipt header and receipt detail information that manipulates and adjusts that invoice in the customer ledger. So these tables, they have all that detailed transactional information. They have unique identifiers for each individual transaction, right? What was the quantity? What was the item? What type of order was it? All of that detail information then at the end of the month when we do these refreshes and these summarizations gets all squished together into one record. And it says, okay, Tom, he transacts across multiple companies in my organization. So let me crunch all the stuff together by company. And I'll say, this is what he did for this company, that company, that company. And here's something he did in a grand total. But the point is, once I create these credit and collection tables, I lose all these unique identifiers. So what am I really saying? If you looked at that summary table, right, that 3B15 table, you'll see that everything is a summarization. The aging amounts, right? You'll see the credit manager and the collection manager. You'll see the number of open items. You won't see the detail, but you'll see the number of open items. And naturally, if I look at the other table, right, I get that same summarization, but at the same time, I get some different things, like what's my total days outstanding? What's my gross amount, my high amount? It really doesn't help me though, because if Tom buys multiple things from me, if he buys multiple different product families, and I have different types of orders, direct ship versus this ship versus something else, how do I really know what the problem is? How do I really understand? Maybe there's a bottleneck. Maybe with direct ship orders for a certain demographic area, I have issues with a vendor that I think it's Tom's problem, but it's really just a vendor's problem, right? When we look at this account balance inquiry screen, you're going to see that you get summarized information. In that example I just gave you, Tom is really Hilton. You'll see I have a summarized record 0, and then I have a company record 200. But if I look at the screen right now, I see that my aggregate for company 0 doesn't match company 200. Why? That's because now when you're in these screens, it all depends upon how you sort and how you lay out the information on the screen. So in this example, I might want to say, hey, let me see by company the highest amount. Well, maybe I want to see by customer the highest amount. So again, all of this is a UDO. All of this is you being able to change and manipulate things via the application and the form. And it's important to understand that those are driven by how you set them up as far as your sequencing or, your columns and how they're structured and things of that nature. So as I said to you, this is simply saying, hey, what's the greatest amount past due for the longest time by company? And that's the way I'm looking at that information. Now, in the past, your IT group, somebody else would have set this up. You didn't have the ability to control it. Now you do. So now if I change it and I say, wait a minute, I don't want to see it that way. I want to see it by customer, the worst customer. And then within the worst customer, I want to see across the board different companies, because now maybe I have an issue with company 200. Whatever that company represents, why is Tom always more delinquent for that company than other companies? So I can simply change the sequencing and get a different view. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to see in a minute, you could even change the data selection on a query to show you the type of order. So again, if we look at the statistical screen, the same kind of thing, right? You can see my 1,000,005 grand total, but now you can see broken out with all the other companies, and you can see how that's laid out. So it's all about an application. It's all about a form. It's all about a version. All right. Parent-child inquiry screen, the same type of concept. So let's now talk about, what does a query do? Well, now I could turn around and I could say, okay, when I look at my screens and I look at the data, maybe I want to see just particular type of order or customer family or item family, right? And my watch list can help me because I can create a watch list over all this stuff and say that when I get more than X, notify me so that now I could go in and look at things. So I refresh this table every night and I can just come in the morning, look at a watch list. And if I'm responsible for a certain type of order or a certain customer class, I can see if my watch list is presenting anything. And if not, I know I don't have to go work on anything. I can also create an orchestration notification to do the same thing via an email. So we're going to get into the system now, and I'm going to walk you through a few things and just show you how we can use this. Okay. So with that, let's get on to this. Give me a second to launch over to JD Edwards and sign in. And I am on the latest application release, as well as Tools 9253. Okay. So when I sign in, the first thing you're going to notice is I come to a landing page. And my landing page, if you look up here in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see it's Tom with a big dot next to it. I've created a landing page, a composed page, if you will. And this composed page is showing me from these credit and collection tables those top 10 customers by an open amount, those customers where their average day late, so I can hover over one and I can see the average days late is 86.77. Or if I say, hey, wait, what's this outstanding amount here? It's 151.6 thousand, right? It's a way for me to quickly visually see what I need to act on. And naturally, I can click on something and just drill right into an application. The other thing is, again, there's so many ways to get here. I can open my breadcrumb trail and I can say, hey, wait, I want to go to credit and collection. And when I click on my credit and collection, there's all those options, right? To refresh, to do what I want to do. And you can hover over one of these, and that form and that version I told you about, you can quickly see which ones you're launching, right, when you're in here. So again, just being able to understand what you want to do. So if I open account balance inquiry, you're going to notice now that when I say find, here's that custom grid, Tom, right, that I showed you earlier in the presentation. And when I look at this grid and I come down to the sequencing, here's that sequencing: amount past due, number of open pay items, company. Again, what you need to do is you need to understand, how do I want to see information? And based on the way you want to see information, simply turn around and manipulate these grids, manipulate the structure and the format and things like that. So right now you see that my top row is highlighted. If I come down here at the bottom of the screen, it says customer ledger inquiry. I click on customer ledger inquiry, and what do I see here? I see the same type of look and feel, right? I see the same type of, I can change the grid format, right? When I had that row and said customer ledger pre-populated 42, 44, we all know about that. Now, what I did is I changed my columns around and I added some category code fields and things like that, simply because when I was in the account balance inquiry screen, I was looking at summary information. But then when I clicked on this one customer and came into this screen, now I'm seeing all the underlying detail, right? So if I come back here and I go to the bottom, right? I say, let me see all the records. Here's my total, 17,069,474, right? You're going to see when I go back to the account balance inquiry screen that 17,069 is there. And again, notice my highlighted column of the order in sales order, the order type that was in sales order. So again, if I close out of this, you'll notice when I come back here, my 17 million, right? So now let's go and let's look at the same thing with your periodic statistics, right? Periodic statistics are simply saying, again, for that customer, 42, 44, overall for the entire company, my 17 million, this is telling me now my day sales outstanding month by month by month by month by month. And I'm just getting that aggregated look and feel of data, of information. So what do I want to do? If I come back here to my account balance inquiry, notice I added two category codes, right? I added a category code 9 and a category code 10. And what do those represent, right? Category code 9 is from the address book, and it represents my customer class. Is it an original equipment customer, a value added? Is it just a plain old consumer? And when I look at category code 10 says, again, from the address book, this is a customer group, an electronics customer, a consumer goods, a capital equipment customer. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to determine what type of customer am I really dealing with? Well, guess what? 4244 is a customer of one thing. So I'm not going to get a lot of value here because he's either mechanical or something else. He's either value added or something else. So because I'm driving it from the address book, that's a master table, and it means all the transactions are relative and fall in line with whatever that master data is. All right. Now, if I come up in here to queries, you'll see I have two queries. Show me only customers with customer goods, or show me only customers that are consumer or mechanical, right? So again, if I select it on consumer goods, we don't see 4244 anymore. And if we look at that query definition, it simply said, I want my category code 10 to equal that value for consumer goods. I can simply come back up here and say, well, let me see mechanical customers. And now here's Hilton again, right? Why? Because in this query, I simply change it to say, give me a value of 222, right? And notice I whittled down some other criteria as well. Again, even though this is a summary screen, what you have to do, you have to understand that what you're basing these on, is it the master data? It's the totality of everything. So we have to understand that. Now, when I do a find again, and I look, notice that 4242, right? We have company 0, we have, I'm sorry, not customer 4242. Notice we have company 0, then 200, then 00, right? It's not in company order, right? Again, that's because if I look at this grid is the sequencing saying, forget the customer, I don't care about the customer. I can simply change this to say, I want a sequence on something different. So again, we have to understand all of the different uses here and what we're doing. Now, I want to just hone in on customer 4242, okay? And if I look at 4242 and I come into customer ledger, notice that I have a bunch of different order types, right? I have an SO, then I might have, an S4, and I might have a bunch of other order types. So when I look at this, I might have some blank orders, right? That didn't come from sales order entry. Again, because this is a field from sales order entry. Well, what happens for this customer if I only care about seeing the transportation orders? Well, then I could come up here and I could say, wait a minute, let me only see transportation orders. So now for this customer, I'm only seeing transportation orders. But if I look at this, the sequencing, right, may not be correct. Now, conceptually in your head, it should be right, but technically it may not be right. So maybe it's not in the correct order. I could come in here and I can say, I only want to see transportation orders, but I want to see them when they were due. So I want to be able to act on the oldest order and inquire and work that versus the youngest order. So you could turn around and you can do a lot of things. You could turn around and even come back in here and get rid of that customer number. And you can say, okay, let me see all customers. And now you can get all customers' transportation orders, oldest to newest. So now you can see here's customer 4244, customer 4247 down here, right? Again, depending upon what you're responsible for, how you need to work, you need to set things up the way that makes sense for you to do what you need to do. Now, I can simply say, hey, I only want to see transportation orders over $25,000. And then when I do that, then notice I'll only see those where the open amount is over $25,000. All right, let's get out of this again. Let's go back to my landing page. I'm going to close everything. And I'm going to go back to my landing page. And we saw how 4242 was one of the worst offenders, right? One of those Hilton people was one of the worst offenders. But if I look at this, notice that the companies or the customers that I'm showing as being the worst to the best, notice that they don't tie to my account balance screen, right? So let me go back and show you again. If I come in here to account balance inquiry and I clear everything out, I have no query, I want to see all the records, right? And I say find, notice that my worst offenders are 4244, 4247, 10313, blah, 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 blah. Well, when I got back out here and looked, notice that that's not what I see here. When I come back out here, I don't see those same order of customers. Why? Because again, if I come up here and select, I have the option now to turn around and say, well, what do I want to look at? That query I created, well, right now I'm looking at a query that says collection manager that has a bunch of other things in it. Maybe if I say I want to see all customers because that's what the application was looking at. Now, if I say that, now look, now it's the same order of, customers that was on the account balance inquiry screen. Now, remember, I even went in and I said, hey, let me just see transportation orders that came from sales order entry that were S4s. Now, I could even come into this and I can manipulate this query even more. And I can now have additional filters I can select on. And again, I know that I want to see the other document type that equals S4. So I can scroll down here till I find it. I can select it. And notice now here, it says equal what? And I know transportation orders are S4. And I could say, okay, save it. Now look. Now I'm seeing those worst offenders only for transportation orders. And if I want to, I can literally come back here. I can select on this bar. And what happens? It launches me back to the customer ledger inquiry screen where I can now see that query's preloaded and I can work on what I need to work on. So you can see how creating queries and being able to manipulate those queries can help you look, not necessarily just going right into credit and collection, but creating a dashboard kind of look and feel where you can just click on things and go in. Now, remember, we talked about the watch list before, right? And we talked about transportation orders. And I showed you one where it says transportation orders over 25,000. Well, I could create that watch list just like I told you before. And I could say, okay, I want to see transportation orders over $25,000. And when all of a sudden this is done generating, I can see that I have 43 of them. And again, from my watch list, I can launch out. There's my transportation orders with the query that they're over $25,000. So you can see there's a lot of things that you can do. All right, so let's get out of this. Let's go back and let's finish up here our conversation by telling you that what's important is it's important for you to understand that you need to be aware and on top of what's going on at JD Edwards. And there's multiple ways that you can do that. You can turn around and do that by belonging to a organization like Quest, where there is a membership that you could communicate with and blog with and things of that nature. You should definitely continue to be part of Quest. You can continually blog with other clients and understand how are they using JD Edwards? How are they using all of these user-defined objects and things of that nature, right? Understand from other people and your peers what they're actually doing. The other thing you can do is go to learnjde.com. When you go to learnjde.com, you're going to be able to understand what are the new enhancements from a tools and application perspective that are coming out now. That's where you do your initial analysis to say, hey, what's out there? What should I look at? What should I analyze? Then you see all of a sudden that you're coming out with the ability for form extensions to go across all different versions and things of that nature. Maybe you then go to Quest and see a company that you have a relationship with or you just want to communicate with and say, hey, are you using this? Be involved in the ecosystem, okay? Don't forget that in October, there's going to be a deep dive, 4-day session where you're going to learn more about the latest stuff coming out. You're going to learn more about the newest enhancements coming out. You're going to learn more about the direction of JD Edwards. Make sure that you move forward and that you participate. Last but not least, don't be afraid to talk to your vendor. Don't be afraid to talk to other vendors. You may not be a client of GSI, but yet you can see on the left that we're on multiple social media sites. We have blogs, right? We have erp-talk.com, which you can type in a question and we'll have a human give you an answer, right? You can call us. You can look at some of our pre-recorded webinars and videos and white papers and things like that. The point is, stay engaged, talk to people, do what you need to do. So with that, I'm hoping that you understand that as a user, you have such great flexibility now as to what you can do and how you can do it. By all means, don't let your ERP system sit on a shelf and just come in and click on an option and do what you have to do. Sit back and say to yourself, what have I been doing that I wish I could do better, that I can do more efficiently? And then understand the tools at your disposal to see how you can do that. So I want to thank you all. Thanks for being with me today. And I hope that you stay safe and that your ongoing JD Edwards experience is a very healthy and fruitful one. So thanks again.